Good day, viewers. Welcome to another edition of the Daily Strange Stories. I'm John Brown. Our lead story for today. Today's weather in South Africa, 9 people dead as floods and snow hit SA, taxi carrying learners swept away and disappears. As a brutal winter storm system descended upon South Africa on the 10th of June 2025, it unleashed a cascade of catastrophic events that would forever alter the landscape and lives of countless individuals. The convergence of heavy snow, relentless rain, and plummeting temperatures created a deadly cocktail of weather conditions, plunging communities into chaos and despair. From the snow-laden peaks of the Drakensberg Mountains to the flood-ravaged coastal plains, the nation found itself battling against the raw, untamed power of nature. The Eastern Cape province, renowned for its breathtaking scenery and resilient communities, bore the brunt of the storm's fury. Torrential downpours transformed tranquil rivers into raging torrents, inundating homes, businesses, and infrastructure in their path. The relentless rain, coupled with already saturated ground, triggered widespread flooding that left entire towns submerged beneath murky, debris-filled waters. 9 people have died in the Eastern Cape due to flooding caused by severe weather conditions in the province, with fears that the death toll may rise. The deaths occurred amid adverse weather conditions, intense cold, and snow, which have battered the province. 6 of the bodies were found around Dikaligni village in Mthatha, while the 7th body was recovered at Tsolo near the Bedlana River on Tuesday. Eastern Cape government spokesperson Kuselo Ranji said an additional 2 bodies were recovered on Tuesday evening. Ranji rescue teams are also still searching for a minibus taxi carrying school children that was swept away on Tuesday morning. The Eastern Cape government, led by Premier Oscar Mabuyane, responded swiftly to the unfolding crisis, mobilizing disaster response teams and resources to assist affected communities. However, the sheer scale of the devastation overwhelmed even the most dedicated efforts, leaving many feeling helpless in the face of nature's relentless onslaught. One of the most harrowing incidents involved a school bus carrying students to Chumba Senior Secondary School. As the bus attempted to cross a bridge near Mthatha, the raging floodwaters engulfed the vehicle, sweeping it downstream with terrifying force. The scene unfolded in agonizing slow motion, as terrified students clung to anything they could find, their screams for help swallowed by the roar of the water. Miraculously, at least 3 pupils were rescued from the churning waters, their survival a testament to the bravery and quick thinking of first responders and bystanders. However, the fate of the remaining students remained uncertain, casting a dark shadow of anxiety and dread over the community. The South African National Taxi Council, SANTACO, confirmed that the ill-fated minibus belonged to one of its members, adding another layer of complexity to the tragedy. Eyewitnesses reported seeing at least 3 learners clinging to trees, desperately calling for help, their voices barely audible above the din of the storm. According to preliminary reports, the driver of the minibus had contacted the vehicle owner earlier that morning, reporting that the vehicle was stuck. However, by the time assistance arrived, the water had already engulfed the bridge, sealing the fate of those on board. Premier Mabuyane issued a heartfelt plea to residents and motorists, urging them to exercise extra caution in areas prone to flooding. He emphasized that disaster response teams were on high alert and committed to ensuring the community's safety, but cautioned that individual vigilance was paramount in such treacherous conditions. The storm's impact extended far beyond the immediate loss of life, leaving a trail of destruction that would take months, if not years, to fully repair. Hundreds of thousands of properties across 13 towns in the Eastern Cape were plunged into darkness as heavy snowfall, disruptive winds, and relentless rain caused widespread power outages. In response to the escalating crisis, Eastern Cape COGTA MEC Zolide Williams urged residents to cancel unnecessary travel and advised motorists to take extra precautions in snow-prone areas. He emphasized that disaster management teams were on alert, but stressed that prioritizing personal safety was of utmost importance. Several areas in Butterworth, Mthatha, and Mkanduli were submerged in floodwaters, leaving motorists stranded and homes inundated. Nguma local municipality spokesperson Loyiso Mpalenjane reported that 4 vehicles were submerged on the route between Butterworth and Mission Village, but thankfully, there were no fatalities in those incidents. However, the news was not all positive. Several areas, including the Skeet and Eugene informal settlements near Butterworth, experienced severe flooding, forcing residents to evacuate their homes. Schooling was also disrupted in some areas of Butterworth due to a lack of access caused by the floods. Electricity supply was cut off to approximately 300,000 customers in Mthatha, Kumbu, Solo, Elliotdale, Matatiele, Guapata, Bizana, Ematsasibeni, Elliot, Komani, Duchwa, Butterworth, and Kofimvaba. Eskom teams were mobilized to assess the damage and begin restoring power, but the process was expected to be lengthy and challenging. In the Gokozayo village in Mkanduli, Nosipom Zaitume's home was ravaged by the storm, with the roof being torn off and her belongings soaked and destroyed. She expressed her fear that the situation would worsen and recounted how one of the teachers had her car submerged while going to school, narrowly escaping unharmed. In Tegelebende village in Tuchwa, community leader Zamegile Zotala reported a power outage that had persisted since the early hours of the morning. Residents had made numerous calls to Eskom, but their primary concern was when the power would be restored, given the widespread nature of the outages. As the storm raged on, the N10 between Cookhouse and Craddock and the N2 outside East London were closed due to heavy snowfall and dangerous collisions. The N2 highway was also closed in the southern parts of KwaZulu-Natal due to severe snowfall, further isolating communities and disrupting transportation networks. From the frozen mountain passes in the Eastern Cape to the power surges in Gauteng, the winter storm exposed the vulnerability of infrastructure and communities across the country. In Johannesburg, temperatures plummeted to below zero, causing households to crank up their heaters and geysers, pushing the power grid to its limit. The South African Weather Service upgraded the alert for the Eastern Cape to level 9, warning of widespread floods, snowfall, and icy temperatures. Officials urged communities to stay indoors where possible, avoid open flames, and stay informed about weather alerts. Communities in some parts of South Africa woke up to snow-covered cars and rooftops, creating a picturesque scene that belied the underlying danger. In other areas, residents braced for severe thunderstorms and gusty winds, adding to the sense of unease and uncertainty. The N3 toll route urged motorists to check conditions before embarking on any long journeys, warning that the weather conditions could impact road safety, cause traffic congestion, delays, and even temporary road closures. Motorists were advised to keep sufficient emergency provisions in their vehicles, including water, food, medication, warm clothes, blankets, cell phones, chargers, backup power banks, and basic first aid equipment. The KZN Department of Kokta urged residents to be extra careful on the roads, as severe weather was predicted across large parts of the province. The storm system brought heavy snow, damaging winds, and disruptive rain, badly affecting the Harigwala, Utsugela, and Uku districts. Due to heavy snowfall, all roads leading to Kokstad and the N2 near Ingeli were closed. Motorists were strongly advised to avoid the area at all costs. According to Kokta, the damaging winds, some reaching up to 110 km per hour, uprooted trees and caused widespread power cuts. Fallen trees also affected parts of the N3, prompting disaster response and municipal teams to begin clearing efforts and restore electricity. The South African Weather Service issued further weather warnings, with spokesman Lehlohonolo Tobela sounding the alarm for the Eastern Cape and surrounding coastal areas. An updated weather alert of an orange level 9 warning was issued for disruptive rain, expected to impact the eastern half of the Eastern Cape into coastal areas. The disruptive rain was expected to result in flooding, widespread flooding of roads and settlements, danger to life due to fast-flowing streams or deep waters, and severe disruptions to transport routes and travel services. Widespread prolonged disruptions to essential services like water, electricity, communities, and schools were also anticipated. While several districts remained largely unaffected by the severe weather, others reported significant disruptions. In the eThekwini and Ilembe districts, all roads were open, but heavy wind was reported in coastal areas. In the Umkungundlovu and Umkanyagute districts, all roads were open, but heavy wind and general windy conditions were reported. In the Zululand and King Tsechoyo districts, no issues were reported, and patrol teams were monitoring routes. However, in the N2 Uku district, strong winds and rain were reported, with fallen trees being cleared. No major issues were reported toward Port Edward or Harding. In the Amachuba, Utsugela and Umzinyati districts, roads were mostly clear, but high, icy winds were reported. Snow on the Drakensberg was not currently affecting travel routes. KwaZulu continued to monitor the situation and worked with local municipalities and emergency services to respond to weather-related incidents. Residents were advised to stay indoors where possible, avoid unnecessary travel, and report any weather emergencies to local authorities. Meanwhile, KwaZulu-Natal authorities closed parts of the N2 highway amid heavy snowfall. The closure extended into the Eastern Cape. A number of other roads in both provinces were affected. KwaZulu-Natal Transport and Human Settlements MEC Siboniso Duma confirmed the closures of part of the N2 highway between Kokstad and Pietermaritzburg due to snowfall. Part of the R603 was also closed. The RTI team worked with traffic police from Kokstad and Ray Ngonyeni local municipalities to redirect motorists and clear the snow. Duma urged motorists and snow chasers to avoid the area. According to Eastern Cape Transport Department spokesperson Unati Bingose, the N2 was also closed between Guapaka, also known as Mount Frere, and Kokstad. This was the latest of a number of roads that are covered in thick snow. The R58 at Barclay Pass had continuous heavy snow. Conditions were slippery, and the road was only open to small cars under the supervision of traffic officers. Heavy vehicles were not allowed to go through. Multiple weather warnings were in place for the two provinces. In the Eastern Cape, there was a level 6 warning in place for disruptive snowfall over the Jokabi district and Enochmkichima, Molteno, and Matatile local municipalities. A level 2 warning was in place in the Chris Hani district, as well as the Dr. Byers Nord, Graf Reinet, Raymond Mhlaba, Amahlati and Umzimvubu local municipalities. There was a level 6 warning for disruptive rain that could lead to flooding in the Amatole, OR Tambo, and Buffalo City District municipalities, a level 5 warning for disruptive rain in the Alfredenzo, Magana, Ndlambe, Kouka, and Kugama municipalities, and a level 2 warning for disruptive rain over the Jokabi, Chris Hani, Blue Crane Route, Dr. Byers Nord, Graf Reinet, Sundays River Valley and Nelson Mandela Bay metro municipalities. In KwaZulu-Natal, there was a warning for damaging winds and disruptive rainfall in the south of the province. The storm has left a lasting impact on the region. Thank you for watching this news video. We'd love to hear what you think about this story, so please leave your comments below. We read them all and appreciate your insights. Join us again in our next strange story. Until then, goodbye.